God is about to do something in your life that does not follow the patterns of human systems. I did not come to excite you. I came to awaken you. I did not come to flatter you. I came to prepare you. There is a divine shift unfolding. And God says many will miss it because they are looking for income. When God is preparing wealth, they are watching their bank accounts, while God is rearranging authority, favor, access, and timing. Hear this clearly. What is coming will not look like a salary, and that is why many will doubt it. But God never asked permission from systems before blessing His people. There is a dangerous lie that has been planted deep in the minds of sincere people. And that lie says wealth must come through visible labor, predictable structure, and approved channels. God says this belief is about to be shattered, not because work is evil, but because limitation is. God is not bound to reward you only through what exhausts you. He is not restricted to owe you only through what drains you. He is not impressed by your suffering, but He is moved by your obedience, your faith, and your alignment. There are seasons where God trains you through labor, and there are seasons where God releases you through favor. If you try to drag labor into a favor season, you will miss what God is doing. God told me to warn you because what He is about to release will come suddenly, and sudden blessings expose unprepared hearts. Many people pray for wealth, but they are not ready for the silence that comes when money arrives without effort. They are not ready for the confusion of others when results appear without explanation. They are not ready for the internal battle that happens when your past struggles try to argue with your present elevation. God says if He gave it to you today, it would crush you, not bless you. That is why this warning is necessary. God is not just changing your situation. He is changing your capacity. Understand this deeply. God does not reward noise. He rewards alignment. He does not bless desperation. He blesses trust. He does not respond to panic. He responds to faith that rests even when nothing is visible. Some of you have been crying because your income does not match your effort. And God says, stop measuring your future by your current output. What is coming will not be a reward for your hours. It will be a response to your surrender. You have been faithful when no one saw you. You have been consistent when nothing was changing. You have been obedient when it was uncomfortable. And God says that silent obedience has been recorded. There is a moment in divine timing when God decides that enough is enough. Enough delay, enough struggle, enough proving, enough hiding. When that moment comes, God does not negotiate with circumstances. He overrides them. He does not slowly introduce the blessing. He releases it fully formed. This is why it feels like overnight. Not because God rushed, but because the preparation was invisible. Roots grow in darkness. Seeds break open underground. You do not applaud the soil, but without it there is no harvest. God says what you call waiting, He calls building. Now listen carefully. This wealth God is releasing without income is not magic and it is not luck. It is authority. It is access. It is positioning. It is divine alignment with people, ideas, systems, and opportunities that were blocked until now. God says, you are about to walk into rooms you did not qualify for on paper, but you qualified for in the Spirit. You are about to receive favor that cannot be traced to effort because it is traced to obedience. When people ask how it happened, your only honest answer will be that God did it. But here is the warning. Do not despise the process that did not pay you. Do not mock the season that humbled you. Do not forget the days when you prayed with tears and still showed up with integrity. If you dishonor the process, you will mishandle the promotion. God says some people lose what He gives because they forget who they were when they had nothing. Pride is more dangerous than poverty. Arrogance can drain wealth faster than bad decisions. Stay small in your spirit, even when your influence grows large. God is not making you rich so you can escape Him. He is making you rich so you can represent Him. Wealth without purpose is a burden, not a blessing. God is not interested in funding your ego. He is interested in advancing His intention through you. That is why this wealth will come without income, so you know it is not yours. So you do not worship it. So you do not cling to it in fear. When God gives without effort, He is teaching you trust. When He supplies without labor, He is teaching you dependence on Him, not on systems. Some of you are uncomfortable even hearing this because you have been trained to believe that struggle equals righteousness. God says that belief is outdated. There are seasons where struggle refines you, and there are seasons where rest reveals God's power. You cannot keep bleeding in a season where God is trying to crown you. You cannot keep fasting for what God is trying to hand you. Discernment is knowing when to fight and when to receive. There is also a test coming with this blessing, the test of silence. God says, tell them not to announce it too early. Do not explain it to people who only understand struggle. Do not seek validation from those who could not carry your burden when you are broke. Protect what God gives you. Favor attracts envy faster than money attracts request. Silence is not secrecy. It is stewardship. What God bursts in choir cannot be sustained in noise. God told me to warn you because when this wealth comes without income, your old mindset will try to sabotage it. You will feel unworthy. You will feel guilty. You will feel like it must disappear because it came too easily. Reject that voice. That voice is not humility. It is fear disguised as modesty. God does not apologize for His blessings. And neither should you. Receive with gratitude, manage with wisdom, and move with obedience. Understand this. God is not bypassing wisdom. He is not canceling discipline. He is not endorsing laziness. He is shifting methods. There is a difference. Some of you have already done the work. You planted when others partied. You studied when others slept. You served when others demanded. And now God says it is time for harvest without labor because the labor already happened. You are not late. You are aligned. This is why doors will open without applications. This is why resources will come without chasing. This is why favor will locate you without effort. God is rearranging networks, not just finances. He is repositioning you where provision flows naturally. Rivers do not struggle to be wet. They flow because it is their nature. God is changing your environment, so provision becomes natural to you. But hear this warning again. Do not rush ahead of God once the blessing starts. Speed without instruction leads to loss. Wealth increases your margin for error, but it does not eliminate consequences. Stay prayerful, stay grounded, stay generous. Generosity is not about giving money. It is about keeping your heart free. God says the fastest way to lose what He gives is to clutch it in faith. Or some of you are about to experience what feels like financial rest for the first time in your life, and it will expose emotional wounds you buried under survival when you are no longer fighting to survive unresolved pain surfaces. Do not be alarmed. God is healing you completely. He does not want you rich and broken. He wants you whole and free. Let Him heal your thinking. Let Him heal your identity. Let Him heal your relationship with money so money does not control you. God also says this wealth will require new boundaries. Some people will only know you as a solution. Some will only see you as access. Learn to say no without guilt. Learn to discern without suspicion. Love without being manipulated. Giving is holy, but enabling dysfunction is not. God did not bless you to fund your responsibility. He blessed you to establish order. This is why God warned you ahead of time. So you do not think something is wrong when everything changes quickly. So you do not panic when your old systems become irrelevant. So you do not cling to jobs, habits, or identities that no longer fit your season. Transition always feels unstable before it feels secure. Trust God through the shift. You will notice your desires changing. What once excited, you will feel empty. What once satisfied, you will feel shallow. This is not ingratitude. It is elevation. God is lifting your appetite so you do not waste resources on distractions. Let Him refine your taste. Let Him upgrade your vision. Let Him mature your motives. God is also separating you relationally, not because people are evil, but because capacity differs. Some cannot walk with you where God is taking you. Do not resent them. Do not explain yourself. Bless them and keep moving. Alignment matters more than familiarity. Destiny requires agreement. This wealth without income will also challenge your faith in unexpected ways. When you had nothing, you trusted God out of desperation. Now you must trust Him out of reverence. When provision is constant, discipline becomes a choice, not a necessity. Choose God daily. Do not let comfort dull your hunger for Him. Comfort is the enemy of growth if it replaces dependence. God says He is making you an example, not to be admired, but to be evidence. Evidence that He still provides. Evidence that He still promotes. Evidence that He still honors faithfulness. People will watch how you carry this blessing. Some will be inspired, some will be offended. Both reactions are irrelevant. Obedience is your only responsibility. Let me say this clearly. This is not prosperity without purpose. This is provision with assignment. God will give you ideas to steward this wealth in ways that create impact beyond your lifetime. Do not underestimate small instructions. Obedience in details unlocks authority and influence. Listen carefully to God even when instructions seem simple. There will be moments when you are tempted to attribute this blessing to timing, connections, or coincidence. Resist that temptation. Acknowledge God openly in your heart. Even if you stay silent publicly, gratitude keeps the channel open. Pride clogs it. God says the reason this is happening overnight is because time owes you. Years you cried, years you labored unseen, years you waited while others advanced. God is compressing what was delayed. He is restoring momentum. He is accelerating outcome. Do not question speed. Steward it. And finally, hear this. This wealth is not the destination. It is a tool. Do not build your identity around what can change. Build it around God, who does not change. Use what He gives to serve, to create, to stabilize, to build, to bless, to establish peace where there was chaos. Stay soft in your heart. Stay sharp in your discernment. Stay obedient even when it no longer hurts to obey. God is doing this now, not someday, not eventually, now. And the only thing that can delay it is disbelief, fear, or disobedience disguised as wisdom. Trust Him fully. Release control completely. Walk forward humbly. What is coming will not look like income, but it will look like God moving unmistakably in your life, shifting realities, rearranging outcomes, opening paths, establishing security, and teaching you that He has always been your source. Even when you thought it was your effort, your job, your strength, or your struggle. And as you continue to walk with Him, you will understand more deeply that provision is not about what you do, but about who He is and how faithful lie. You remain aligned with His voice even as everything around you changes and continues to change in ways you never imagined possible. God says there is another dimension to this blessing that many do not understand, and that is the transformation of authority. Wealth without income is not merely provision. It is proof that God has shifted who answers to you. When provision chases you, it means systems have been instructed to respond. When doors open without effort, it means resistance has been removed. God is not just giving you resources. He is repositioning you in the unseen realm where outcomes are decided before actions are taken. This is why you must guard your inner life more than ever. Authority leaks when character weakens. Power fades when discipline collapses. Stay anchored in God even as your circumstances rise. Some of you will notice that people begin to treat you differently without knowing why. Their tone will change. Their openness will increase. Their willingness will expand. This is not because you have changed your appearance or your words. It is because God has shifted how you are perceived. Favor speaks before you speak. Presence enters before you arrive. God says this is not manipulation, it is alignment. When you walk in obedience, creation recognizes it. When you walk in humility, resistance loses its voice. There is also a warning here. Do not let this elevation isolate you from compassion. Wealth can create distance if the heartens God did, or lift you so you would look down on others. He lifted you so you could lift others without losing yourself. Keep your heart tender. Remember hunger without romanticizing poverty. Remember struggle without glorifying pain. God delivered you so you would not return mentally to what He freed you from physically. God says some of you will wrestle with rest. You are so used to striving that peace will feel unfamiliar. You will feel guilty for not fighting. You will feel anxious when things flow easily. That is not discernment. That is conditioning. Let God retrain your nervous system. Let Him teach you how to exist without survival mode. Rest is not laziness. When God provides, it is trust. Stillness is not weakness. When God leads, it is wisdom. There will be moments when God asks you to move slowly, even though you can move fast. Speed is available, but timing is sacred. Just because you can afford something does not mean you should pursue it. Just because you can access something does not mean it is assigned to you. Wealth expands options, but discernment chooses correctly. Ask God before major decisions, not because you doubt yourself, but because you honor Him as the source. God is also teaching you stewardship at a deeper level. Stewardship is not only about managing money. It is about managing influence, energy, attention, and time. Wealth amplifies everything you already are. If you are disciplined, it multiplies order. If you are careless, it magnifies chaos. This is why God refined you first. This is why delay protected you. This is why the blessing waited until your inner world could carry your outer world. Some of you will be tempted to return to old environments to prove you have changed. God says resist that urge. Validation is not your assignment. Fruit speaks louder than explanation. Stay where you are celebrated for obedience, not questioned for growth. Growth always threatens familiarity. Choose destiny over nostalgia. God says your generosity will become strategic. You will no longer give emotionally. You will give intentionally. You will no longer rescue out of guilt. You will invest out of wisdom. This does not make you cold. It makes you effective. God does not waste resources, and He does not expect you to either. Giving is sacred when it aligns with purpose. You may also experience seasons where God instructs you to hold back even when you can give. This is not selfishness. It is discernment. Not every request is an assignment. Not every need is yours to meet. God distributes responsibility as well as provision. Trust His instruction over human pressure. God is shaping you into someone who understands cycles. You will recognize when to sow, when to store, when to release, and when to wait. Wealth without wisdom evaporates. Wisdom without humility becomes arrogance. Stay teachable. Stay prayerful. Stay connected to God's voice above all others. There will be moments when you feel misunderstood even by those closest to you. Elevation often creates distance before it creates understanding. Do not force alignment. God will adjust relationships in time. Trust Him to protect you from both envy and dependence. God says this blessing will expose hidden fears you did not know you had. Fear of loss, fear of visibility, fear of responsibility. Do not run from these fears. Bring them to God. He is not offended by honesty. He heals what you surrender. He stabilizes what you acknowledge. Remember this always. Wealth is a tool, not a testimony. Obedience is the testimony. Faithfulness is the testimony. Character is the testimony. Money is simply the evidence that God entrusted you with more. God is also preparing you for moments when He will ask you to step into roles you never imagined. Advisor, builder, protector, supporter, leader. These roles will require courage more than capital. Say yes when God calls. Even if you feel unqualified, He qualifies those He assigns. Do not romanticize overnight success. What looks sudden to others was slow and sacred with God. Let that reality keep you grounded. Let it keep you grateful. Let it keep you aware that everything you have can still be directed by Him. God says there will be a season when you realize that peace is the true wealth. Money will come and go, but peace must be guarded. Do not trade peace for expansion. Do not trade alignment for applause. Do not trade obedience for comfort. The cost is too high. God says there is a deeper correction. He is making you before the full weight of this blessing settles. And that correction is about ownership. Many people confuse access with ownership and provision with control. God is teaching you that nothing truly belongs to you except obedience. When you understand this, fear loses its grip. When you accept that God remains the owner, generosity becomes natural. Decisions become lighter. And loss no longer terrifies you. This is why God can trust you with increase, because you are no longer possessed by what He gives. Some of you are entering a season where God will ask you to let go of things you can now afford. simply because they are no longer aligned. This will confuse people who equate blessing with accumulation. But God says maturity is not measured by how much you can hold, but by how quickly you can release what no longer serves purpose. Detachment is not lack of gratitude. It is clarity. God wants you free, not cluttered. God is also refining how you hear Him. When resources increase, voices multiply. Advice becomes louder. Opinions become aggressive. Expectations become heavy. If you do not anchor yourself in God's voice, you will begin to move based on pressure instead of instruction. God says, slow your inner world, even if your outer world accelerates. Silence is not emptiness, it is alignment. You will notice that God begins to deal with your motives at a deeper level. He will question why you want certain outcomes, not to deny you, but to purify your intention. God does not bless ambition that replaces Him. He blesses vision that flows from intimacy. If a desire pulls you away from God, it is not from Him, no matter how profitable it appears. Learn to say no to opportunities that cost you presence. There is also a relational refinement happening. God will teach you how to love without rescuing, to support without enabling, to help without losing boundaries. This requires strength. Compassion without discernment leads to depletion. God wants you effective, not exhausted. Love guided by wisdom multiplies impact. Some of you will feel a holy discomfort when you see injustice, imbalance, or lack around you. This is not guilt. It is assignment. God is awakening your responsibility, not condemning your blessing. He is showing you where your influence is needed. You cannot fix everything, but you must not ignore what God highlights. Sensitivity to His prompting keeps you aligned with purpose. God says, this season will also teach you patience in abundance. Scarcity trains urgency. Abundance requires restraint. When you no longer need to rush, you must learn to wait intentionally. Waiting is no longer about survival. It is about precision. God is sharpening your timing so you act at the right moment, not the fastest one. There will be times when God instructs you to invest in things that do not immediately return profit. Obey Him. Not all returns are financial. Some returns are relational, generational, spiritual. God measures success differently than systems do. Trust His accounting. You may also experience moments where God withholds clarity on purpose. He is teaching you trust beyond understanding. When provision flows without income, faith must deepen beyond logic. God wants you to walk confidently even when explanations are unavailable. This is maturity. God says, guard your words carefully in this season. What you speak shapes how you steward. Complaints open doors to dissatisfaction. Gratitude keeps vision clear. Speak life over what God entrusts to you. Honor Him in private speech as much as in public acknowledgement. Some of you will feel called to simplify even as your capacity expands. Simplicity is not regression. It is focus. God removes distractions so purpose becomes clear. Do not resist simplification. It is protection. God is also breaking comparison off you completely. When your provision no longer looks like others, comparison loses meaning. Do not measure your journey against anyone else's pace or method. God's plan for you is specific, intentional, and custom-built. Stay in your lane. There will be moments when you feel exposed because visibility increases. Do not hide. Transparency before God keeps you covered. He does not expose to shame. He reveals to refine. Let Him strengthen your confidence so visibility does not intimidate you. God says, this season will teach you to lead by presence, not pressure. Influence will come from who you are, not what you demand. Authority rooted in age, humility lasts. Authority rooted in control collapses. Choose humility daily. You will also learn that rest is an act of faith. When you stop striving and provision continues, it confirms that God is sustaining you. Let that truth settle deep. You are not the source. You are the steward. God says this blessing will deepen your prayer life, not replace it. Do not pray less because you worry less. Pray more because you understand more. Gratitude keeps prayer alive. As you continue forward, remember this. God did not bring you here to abandon you later. He does not tease with provision and withdraw presence. He is consistent. He is faithful. He is intentional. Stay aligned, stay humble, stay obedient, and allow this season to reshape not just what you have, but who you are becoming under God's hand, walking steadily, listening carefully, trusting fully, and remaining anchored in Him as everything continues to unfold according to His will. God says there is still another layer He is unveiling, and it concerns trust at the level of identity. Many trust God for provision, but far fewer trust Him with who they are becoming. When wealth arrives without income, it forces a question deep inside you. If I am no longer defined by struggle, who am I now? God is reshaping your self-understanding. He is removing labels you carried out of necessity, not truth. Survivor is not your final name. Overcomer is not your ceiling. God is calling you into sonship of purpose, stewardship of influence, and maturity of faith, where your confidence rests in Him alone, not in what you've endured or achieved. There will be moments when God allows uncertainty, even in abundance, not to threaten you, but to anchor you. Certainty can create pride. Uncertainty preserves humility. God wants you grounded in Him, not intoxicated by consistency. When answers are delayed, lean closer, not away. God speaks most clearly to those who remain attentive when they could afford distraction. God says, some of you will be tested by comfort more than you were ever tested by lack. Lack forced you to pray. Comfort tempts you to assume. Guard against assumption. Assumption silences discernment. Stay curious before God. Ask Him questions. Invite His correction. Correction is not rejection. It is confirmation that He is invested in you. You will also notice that your tolerance for chaos decreases. What once felt normal will now feel heavy. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. God is calibrating your environment to match your assignment. Remove what disrupts your peace. Distance yourself from what drains your clarity. Peace is not a luxury. It is a requirement for sustained stewardship. God says this season will reveal the power of consistency in small things. When provision is abundant, faithfulness in details becomes the true measure of integrity. Pay attention to how you treat people when you are no longer desperate. Pay attention to how you listen when you are no longer in need. Pay attention to how you respond when you are no longer pressured. These moments reveal the depth of your transformation. There will be times when God instructs you to pause even when momentum is strong. Pauses are not punishment. They are protection. God knows what you cannot see. Obedience in pause saves you from regret in motion. Trust Him when He says, wait. Even if waiting feels unnecessary, His foresight exceeds your vision. God is also strengthening your discernment regarding power. Power can seduce quietly. It can convince you that you are self-sufficient. God reminds you that breath itself is still His gift. Stay aware. Stay reverent. Honor God privately, not just publicly. Private reverence sustains public blessing. Some of you will feel a call to mentor, guide, or support others who are where you once were. Do this without superiority. Remember the confusion of the early days. Remember the fear of not knowing how it would work out. Lead with empathy. God uses those who remember where they came from without living there anymore. God says you will learn to celebrate without excess. Joy does not require extravagance to be real. Contentment is not indifference. It is peace anchored in God. Let joy be clean. Let celebration be sincere. Let gratitude be continuous. There may be moments when loss still occurs, not because God has withdrawn, but because pruning continues even in abundance. God removes what could hinder future growth. Trust His hand. He cuts to increase, not to harm. Pruning in abundance ensures longevity, not scarcity. God is teaching you to see beyond numbers. Numbers fluctuate. Purpose remains. Do not let metrics determine your worth or direction. Let obedience guide you. Let conviction steady you. Let God's voice outweigh every external signal. As you walk forward, you will realize that the greatest miracle was never the wealth without income. It was the transformation without destruction, the elevation without corruption. the increase without loss of soul. God preserved you. God refined you. God trusted you. Stay attentive. Stay yielded. Stay responsive. God is still speaking, still guiding, still shaping each step, inviting you to walk with clarity, humility, courage, and unwavering trust as His purpose continues to unfold through your life, steadily, intentionally, and completely under His sovereign care. God says, as this season settles into fullness, you must remember that arrival is not the end of dependence. Arrival is simply the beginning of responsibility. What He gives you now is not meant to replace your prayer life, your reverence, or your obedience. It is meant to deepen them. When God trusted you with little, you learn to lean. Now that He entrusts you with much, you must learn to listen even more carefully. The higher the altitude, the clearer the instruction must be, because missteps at elevation cost more than missteps in the valley. Let this truth anchor you. God did not lift you to confuse you, and He did not bless you to burden you. He elevated you to reveal His faithfulness through your life. Your calm will speak louder than your wealth. Your discipline will speak louder than your excess. Your humility will speak louder than your results. People will watch how you move when nothing threatens you. And in that watching, they will see God's order, not your effort. God is reminding you that this wealth without income was never meant to disconnect you from humanity. It was meant to free you from fear. Fear of tomorrow, fear of lack, fear of collapse. When fear leaves, love grows. When fear leaves, generosity becomes natural. When fear leaves, obedience becomes joyful. Guard that freedom. Do not trade it for excess. Do not surrender it to pressure. Freedom is one of the greatest gifts God gives, and it must be protected intentionally. As you go forward, you will notice that God keeps calling you back to simplicity of trust, not complexity of strategy, not obsession with control, but quiet confidence that He is guiding every step. Let your plans remain flexible. Let your heart remain soft. Let your ears remain open. God speaks most clearly to those who are willing to adjust. Remember that what you carry now is weighty, not because it is money, but because it is testimony. Your life is evidence that God can elevate without corrupting, bless without binding, increase without destroying. Carry that testimony carefully. Do not rush it. Do not cheapen it. Live it consistently. God is pleased not because you have received, but because you have remained aligned. Alignment is what sustains increase. Alignment is what protects peace. Alignment is what keeps provision flowing without anxiety. Stay aligned when applause comes. Stay aligned when silence returns. Stay aligned when the next instruction stretches you again. This season is not fragile. It is established. It is rooted. It is ordered. God has gone before you and prepared what you are walking into. Trust Him fully. Yield daily. Walk steadily. Remain anchored in Him as provision continues. Purpose expands and your life quietly reflects the strength, wisdom, and faithfulness of God at work through you.